bring in Pat Forde, great columnist covering college sports, Yahoo Sports. He joins us now. This Jameis Winston story, I've sort of taken a cautionary approach to it. Go figure. That I've taken a cautionary approach to it because we don't know that much about it. I do know there could be wide-ranging ramifications here, certainly with the sports aspect of it. What can you tell us and the possibilities of this could impact Florida State's season?
Well, I mean, yeah, the possibilities, Dan, are, immensely impactful if he is charged under the written Florida State Student-Athlete Code of Conduct. If he's charged with a felony, he's got to sit. He's suspended. Now, things are always negotiable, I would say, and when it's the best player on one of the top two teams in the country, and him being in or out of the lineup may directly impact whether they're playing for the national championship. We'll see whether they stick to the letter of the law there, but that's it again. We're putting the cart ahead of the horse.
Yeah.
We don't know if he's going to be charged or not. I'm in Tallahassee right now, and everybody is basically on pins and needles waiting to see what this 70-year-old state attorney, Willie Meggs, is going to decide as far as whether he will be charged with a crime.
I guess trying to figure out who Jameis Winston is, because by all accounts, after watching him at press conferences, he seemed to handle himself quite well, had a lot of charisma there, seemed like a really good kid. But the reputation that you found out, what do people say about Jameis Winston in Tallahassee?
Well, he's immensely popular, and I think that reputation that we see is what you hear most of the places around here. And that, it's funny, you hear the derisive phrase drive-by media, but that's basically our look at him, is how does he handle himself in a press conference? If you can get him on the phone for an interview, how is he? If you talk to him for 10 minutes after a game, how is he? Oh, he's a great kid. We just decided. We don't really know, we are guessing and extrapolating, and he was nice to us for those 10 minutes, so we're just going to say he's a great kid. We really, really don't know what these guys do in their private lives. But most people around here, students say their interactions with him, no matter how surface they may be, have been positive, and they like him tremendously. But they also mostly like him because he helps their team win football games.
Yeah. Why is this coming out now? The timing of this, where we were a year ago to where we are now.
That's still one of the big mysteries out there, is why, this came to light in November. I think the guess is that somebody out there saw the adulation that was being heaped upon him, the success the team has been having, and said, well, here's the real Jameis Winston. We'll tell you, go find this police report. But it was obviously somebody that very much knew and told somebody where to look, because his name wasn't in the police report originally. So, but whether it's jealousy, whether it's anger towards him, whatever the case may be, the timing obviously stinks, but I've always said, the timing is the timing. It doesn't matter. You can't just sit there and say this isn't fair. If there's a real story here, you go pursue the story, and the story is the story no matter what time it is.
If the Heisman vote were today, how would that impact the race?
If I had to vote today?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! I would hate to have to vote today. I would hold my ballot. I will hold my ballot till the last minute, waiting to find out just basically what his status is going to be. Until he's charged, I'm leaving him on my ballot. Once he's charged, I have to rethink it and reconsider.
But but Pat, we're going to be in this same situation here as we cast our vote. We got 2.5 weeks here. I don't know what information we're going to have. We may not have any more than what we have right now. So knowing what you know now, is Jameis Winston on your ballot?
Yeah, yes, he is. But if the state's attorney, who's a much better legal expert than I am, says he is potentially guilty of a felony, then I'm taking him off my ballot, most likely. But until that happens, he's on my ballot.
Johnny Manziel on your ballot?
Yeah, I think so. Especially now, quite honestly, Dan, it's kind of laughably small potatoes that we were all that concerned about whether or not he was getting paid to sign his autograph. You want to compare that to a potential rape allegation? Okay, fine. No, he would be on my ballot at this point.
But he's got two big games, and I've said that, what he's done offensively, and he created some of the hurdles that he's had to jump over this year, but they don't have a defense, and he's put up great numbers. Now you got LSU and you got Missouri. If he puts up, how does he win the Heisman? Let's look at it that way. How does he win the Heisman?
I think he's in great position too. If he plays these next two games the way he's been playing, and I think he will. LSU's defense is not overwhelming. Missouri's defense is not overwhelming, although they rush the passer like crazy. But he can get away from a pass rush. Then I think he's got a great chance to do it. There is, for some reason, some backlash to giving anybody the Heisman twice. It's like Archie Griffin has to be the only guy, which I really can't figure out. But I mean, if you look at it, just in terms of pure numbers, you take everything off the field out of play. You know, he's right there. He has a great, compelling argument to be the guy, and if he plays well in two more big games, he could very well be the guy.
Does he have to win those games, though?
Well, winning would help. I mean, if he loses both of them, he's got 4 losses. There's not a lot of guys with 4 losses that have won the Heisman. I think RG3 won with 3 losses, I believe. And that may be the most in a while. I would have to look it up. But,
I think,
team success is a big deal.
Paul Hornung, I think, only won 1 game.
2. They were 2-8.
2-8, and he won the Heisman.
Yep, that was a long time ago.
Yes, it was. That'll never happen again. You have some big games this weekend. Baylor at Oklahoma State. The importance of that game for Baylor possibly getting into – they have any chance national championship?
Oh yeah, I think so. I mean, if somebody stumbles, if the voters, if Jameis Winston gets suspended and they decide that they don't want to vote for Florida State as a top 2 team, I think so. I mean, if they beat Oklahoma State, I would absolutely put them ahead of Ohio State. As a matter of fact, I'd put them ahead of Ohio State right now, but I would certainly put them ahead with a little bit of daylight between them and Ohio State if they win this weekend. Now that can change going forward, but I think this would be a big win if they win in Stillwater.
Can you make a case though that if I look at what they've done this year, if they win out, looking at what they've done compared to Florida State, can they move into the number 2 spot?
I don't think so. No, unless Winston didn't play. I mean, Florida State, while the ACC schedule isn't demonstrably better than the Big 12 per se, but going to Clemson and winning by 37 still stands out to me as the best win anybody has had this year. And they have not had a single real hiccup since then. I mean, they have handled their business very, very well, and I would be very surprised unless there is a personnel change if they get voted out of the top 2.
He's Pat Forde from Yahoo Sports joining us, Dan Patrick Show. Urban Meyer now coming out to say that the BCS is flawed. We only hear from coaches who the BCS punishes. Those who, if Nick Saban said, I don't like the BCS, thank God we're moving on to a playoff, now you got my attention. But Urban Meyer, he just wants to get on the map. He wants somebody to notice him. He's out there yelling and screaming, please notice how good my team is. Is it working?
Yeah. Isn't that cute? I mean, when you're ranked 3rd, certainly the BCS is flogged. When his one-loss Florida teams barely got in 2006 and 2008, I bet he didn't think the BCS was flawed then. So, it's all situational. I'm not really feeling a ton of sympathy for Urban Meyer at this point.
The Ed Ogeron situation at USC, is somebody involved in this cautioned me, don't make a decision based on emotion. What if we don't make the field goal against Stanford? Is anybody saying we want Ed O to be our head coach? How do you think this plays out at USC?
Yeah, I don't see him getting that job. I mean, he's done a wonderful job. Everybody likes him, but don't let your players hire your coach. You listen to them, thank them for their opinion, and then ignore it, and then go into your office and say, okay, is this the guy that's going to be the coach for 10 years and win us a bunch of games? And I think he learned a lot from the mistakes at Mississippi, but he was 10-25 at Mississippi. What you've done in a half a season here doesn't necessarily negate that track record to me. It's USC. You can do better, I believe. Is
better Kevin Sumlin?
That would be better, absolutely. If they could get him, that would be a home run. I don't know whether they can get him. The NFL's going to want him, and Texas A&M is going to give him whatever he wants to stay. And you could argue whether or not that's a better job.
Yeah.
It may be an easier job at USC, but it may be still a better job at Texas A&M.
Who do you think? What are the other candidates there?
I mean, Del Rio was interviewed, and I think he's an attractive candidate. Even though, he's not just because he has USC ties, but that helps. I think an NFL recruiting pedigree can help. I think that Jim Mora has shown that he's worked that to his advantage at UCLA. Otherwise, I don't know. I mean, look, if it's Kevin Sumlin or Jack Del Rio, I think they're doing pretty well.
Have fun in Tallahassee, Pat. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Dan.
All right. Pat Forde from Yahoo Sports.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.